Hello, this is Deep Blue with a Dell OptiPlex and Precision Series Model Desktop Cooling Fan mod. The earlier Dell OptiPlex and Precision workstation computers are built like tanks, very reliable and still worth using today. You may have noticed the very large front grills on these units, which cover a 120mm cooling fan inside, and thought, I'd bet a custom 120mm LED gaming PC fan would look really cool in there, as I did. However, if you merely uninstall the Dell fan and stick a custom fan in there, at every startup you'll get this warning: CPU fan not detected. You can just press F1 to continue, but that's a pain, and so here I'm going to show you how I created a custom adapter cable using a generic 4-pin Molex to 3-pin fan power cable, spliced onto a special 5-pin 4-wire cable of a replacement Dell OptiPlex fan I got on eBay, so that a cool custom fan can be used without any bothersome startup warnings. Before we begin, however, let me point out that while this has worked for me on the Dell OptiPlex 330, 745, and 755, and Precision T3500 and T5500 models, not all models have been tested. Also, if you have a Pentium series processor, that is, anything less than a Core 2 Duo, Core 2 Quad, or Xeon series, this will not work, as the older Pentiums overheat even on stock cooling, and models like the GX 520, which can only use the Pentium series, are such bad overheaters as it is that I wouldn't even try messing around with them. Also, for legal purposes, this video is offered for entertainment purposes only. While this has worked for me, anything you attempt on your own time with your own equipment is at your own risk/responsibility, and by watching any further, you agree not to hold myself, Ninja Dan Studios, YouTube, or any advertisers on this page responsible for whatever happens. By watching any further, you agree not to hold us responsible for anything you do, however it turns out, even if you saw us do it. This is obviously an advanced mod, which requires a familiarity with PC maintenance and electrical knowledge, so be smart and don't try anything that seems too advanced or that you don't feel comfortable with. Work only in a static-free environment, and never, under any circumstances, operate on a device connected to a live power supply. Also, while it is unlikely that any of these units are still under the manufacturer warranty, please be aware that custom mods may void certain manufacturer warranties before you try anything as small as even replacing an errant case screw. So, let's begin. Firstly, notice our 3-pin fan to Molex power adapter. Also notice the 3-pin /Molex fans connectors. Notice a tab on the adapter's 3-pin connection. Also notice the fins on the fan's 3-pin connection. The tab fits between the fins, so we know that it's on right. This also locks it down, so it won't come off. Let's look at the wiring of a Molex power connector. The yellow wire is the plus 12 volt. Both black middle wires go to the ground. Finally, the red wire is the plus 5 volt. Looking at the Molex adapter, we see that the 12 volt fan doesn't even have a 5 volt power wire, as it doesn't use 5 volts. Only the outer 12 volt and 2 inner grounded wires. Following the outer 12 volt wire on the fan's Molex connection shows us that the 12 volt goes to the middle of the 3-pin connection. Following the inner ground wire on the fan's Molex connection, and seeing where it connects to the 3-pin also shows which of the 2 remaining 3-pin wires is the ground. We can also confirm that the tachometer wire, by seeing it is the one which has no connection whatsoever to the fan's Molex power connector. as the tachometer is not needed to power the fan itself, only to inform the computer that the fan is spinning. Thus, we can determine that with the adapter tab and fins up, ground is the leftmost wire, while plus 12 volt is the middle wire, and the rightmost wire is the tachometer wire of this 3-pin fan power connector. So, with that figured out, with the 3-pin adapter cut and partly stripped, let's look at the Dell's 5-pin 4-wire connector. The wire colors Dell uses vary between different fans, do not simply match color to color. With the Dell fin side up and clip side down, the first top wire marked wire 1 in this diagram is the tachometer, even though it is yellow colored on this particular fan. Plus 12 volt is wire 2 on these Dell fans, even if in this case it's red. Wire 3 is the ground. Wire 4 is V-speed, what Dell uses to speed or slow their fans, but a 3-pin fan won't use. Finally, if we have the correct fan, which in this case we do, you will note that there is no wire on the 5th pin connection. That's left blank. On some later models of OptiPlexes, the 5th pin is a temperature sensor signal wire, and that can't be faked. Thus, this mod wouldn't work on such a model or fan. Ready? To begin, snip the Dell fan connector off about halfway. Partly strip the wires for the new connection, as we did before with the 3-pin. And one at a time, being careful to get the right ones, match the 12 volt, ground, and tachometer wires of the 3-pin adapter to their Dell connector equivalents. Twist the wires together to form a new connection, and seal it with electrical tape, folding the tape over as though we were filling a taco, and pinch it tight. Dell wire 4 V-speed is not used. Seal it off with tape. And wrap all sealed wires together neatly with more tape. At last, a fully modified fan connector. Now, let's install a custom LED fan into the Dell case using our connector. To begin, pull the tab on the back of the unit. The side case will pop off. Lay the unit on its side and disconnect the SATA power and data cables. There are no clips, they just snap right off. Slide them out of the fan's mount. This can be a little tricky. And push them to the side. You'll notice 2 screws on the CPU heatsink, one there and one there. Simply twist until the screws spring up. They do not actually come out of the heatsink. They come out of the motherboard. Heatsink goes backwards and then up and off. There are two tabs, one little one here that you have to hook your finger under, and a larger one here which you push from the side. Push this connector up and this connector toward the front, and the fan should slide out. There's the fan's connector to the motherboard. Pinch the tab and pull that straight up. The fan slides right out. You will notice there are two clips which restrain the fan and keep it in place. To get the fan out, you have to hold these clips with some force and pull the fan out. This will take a little bit of muscle. Just be careful and go at it slowly. Pull out the rubber fan holders that go where the screws would normally go, and put the fan aside. Now we take our modified fan, the long side of the rubber connectors, and pull them through where the screws would go. And remember, we want the fan's front to face out of the case, so we're putting these into the back side of the fan with the label. That will cause the fan to blow over the heatsink and not out the front of the unit, which would not cool it and would be bad. These pull right through. Just give them a little force and they snap in. The rubber acts as a shock absorber, and it reduces some of the noise when the fan goes at full force. Notice a notch. You're going to put the fan in so that the fan's wire will slide through this notch later. This fan is smaller than the original Dell fan. So take the wire through the notch there, and that's how it's managed. And pull your rubber tabs through the holes on the back of this fan case. Wire that through there, keeps it in place. Set this in and push it forward and it clicks in. Plug the fan connector back into the motherboard on our modified connector. And I'm going to wrap this around the SATA cables a couple times because it is larger and I don't want it to wiggle around in there when the case is closed. Now, put these back in their holding tabs on the fan cover. Snap them into the connectors they used to be in. Power, you can't get wrong as long as you hook power back up to everything. These data cables, just make sure you match the right wire to the right hard drive if you have to. In my case, I have a SATA to video card power adapter, so that other wire just hangs. The heatsink, those two little clips go through the bracket and it rolls forward. Screw the fan, screw the screws on the side of the heatsink here down onto the motherboard again. Fairly tight, but I wouldn't go fully tight because you may want to open it again someday. And screws have a tendency to become stuck in place forever if you tighten them too much. I'm going to push this through here a little bit, hold it steady. And yeah, that seems pretty good. Take this little warning here, stick this in here. Probably use electrical tape on a real warning, but for the sake of this video, I've just got regular tape. Do not use CPU fan Molex power and motherboard power connector at the same time. That way anyone else who ever looks in here will see that and not overvolt the fan, which could be bad. And that's it. With our modified fan installed, let's turn this on and see how we do. Dell logo. And no warning, straight to the Windows loading screen. There wasn't that smooth. These really are good old models, and that looks fantastic. That's just beautiful. I love the way that looks. That is definitely worth the effort. So let's close this up, and we will do a stress test to ensure that it is cooling adequately compared to the original fan we've replaced. We're going to pull up HW Monitor. This is a free utility from CPU-Z. You can Google it. And it will show us the current active high temperature of the processor cores. This is a 4-core processor. Now we'll get out CPU-Z, which displays useful information about the internals of your computer, as well as offering a processor stress test. Another nice free utility, look it up. And Stress CPU. This will put the processor in a high stress state, all 4 cores, and keep it there. We're going to do a half-hour long stress test. It's a very harsh stress test. The maximum safe temperature for this processor, according to Intel, it's 2:48 p.m. now. See that? Maximum safe temperature is 71 degrees centigrade. So as long as we can stay below that, we know that we're cooling adequately. And right now we're very cool, 48 degrees Celsius. Creeping up a little, still very good. Okay, it's been 10 minutes, 2:59 p.m. Stress test still active, and 63 Celsius. Okay, it's been a half hour, drawn in by the heat blowing out of the computer. Our cat buddy Dandelion has come to help with the video. Yeah. It's 3:19 p.m. and stress test still active. And the highest we got is 66 degrees Celsius on core number 1. That's still well below the 71 degree maximum safe temperature, so it's safe to say that this mod cools perfectly adequately, at least in this case, and in any of the cases I've tested, but I wanted to confirm this so you could see it for the video. So, 66, 66, yeah, that's looking very good. I think we can call this one done, huh, right, buddy? Yeah. Sorry to turn the stress test off and take your heat away. Yeah. Yeah. But I think we can definitely call this a success. So let's stop the stress test. He's using the mouse as a pillow, so this. Get the button here. Stop. And take a look at our final score here for our half-hour long stress test. 66, 66, 63, and 65 degrees Celsius centigrade. All well below 71. And this is a very harsh stress test. Even under gaming, all 4 cores shouldn't be at 100% for a half hour straight. So, considering we didn't even hit max with this much stress, we can definitely say that this was a successful replacement. And it's actually quieter, even though it's on full force all the time, than the original Dell fan. So, pretty good. A final note for users of certain Dell workstations like the Precision T3500 and Precision T5500. The OptiPlex fan mod works in many Precision workstation models as well. However, as cooling in these models is often very poor, a further fan mod can be done to greatly increase cooling efficiency besides the main fan mod. Dell makes 2 primary CPU heatsinks for these models, a crummy aluminum fin version and a better copper pipe version. If you have the plain aluminum version, you can get a copper pipe version on eBay for about $15. The copper pipe version is necessary for this mod. Rigging a fan to this heatsink, basically turning it into a better heatsink one might find on a different computer, is actually very easy. Firstly, I have rigged an 80mm LED fan directly onto the grill using electrical grade zip ties here and here. The fan faces inward with the label side showing, so hot air is pulled out of the grill. The whole thing fits neatly where my crummy original aluminum version of the heatsink went. Two more 80mm fans fit into a cage in the back of the unit where Dell designed a space for them but never installed any. These face in towards the unit label side to the back so that hot air is pulled out through the fans, even further increasing cooling efficiency. In action, the whole mod looks something like this. Here we have the front fan mod, which was done in the beginning of this video. The CPU cooling mod, which I just did in slideshow. And the two back fans, which just screw right into this nice little cage here that's designed for them. And when you take it all together, the direction of the fans creates this perfect wind tunnel, sucking air in the front through the processor grill and blowing it out the back. This becomes a very efficient design with all of them installed together, and is vastly superior to just the original fan passively blowing air over the original aluminum heatsink. And of course, it looks very cool as well. Thanks for watching. If you have found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more technical videos from me, please mention that in the comments section. Thanks to my friend Ninja Dan for hosting my video on his channel. Please subscribe to Dan's channel for hilarious retro gaming videos and future PC upgrade mod videos by me, assuming this one is liked. Thank you.